The reason that you hate technology and think that it is ruining your life is because you are using it incorrectly. The phone that you are holding right now gives you more access to literature, philosophy, history, more wisdom than any emperor or king who has ever lived ever, and you're using it to watch Love Island recaps on TikTok. For most of history, reading was a sacred right that was preserved mainly for the elites, scribes, and priests. Even in ancient Greece, at its intellectual peak, the literacy rate amongst men was only 10 to 20%, and that's being generous, and for women, far lower. But for the majority of history, if you were a peasant or a farmer or a blacksmith, you would go your entire life without ever having read a single sentence. The way that most people were educated and the way that things were passed down was through oral tradition, and things wouldn't be written down for thousands of years sometimes. That's because not only was literacy rare, but having a scroll to be able to write stuff down on was also rare. Most of the earliest ancient texts that we have were all written on papyrus scrolls, and the thing about papyrus, other than the fact that it's very flammable, is it's very fragile, and the more that you open and close the scroll, the more it breaks, so nobody was busting it out at will. It wasn't until the 1st century AD that writing was finally put in a codex format, which is basically like the book that you and I read today. But paper made from trees was also not very popular at the time, so most of these codexes had vellum, which was like a calf skin, and usually you would need like a dozen calves in order to create one single book. Paper was invented in China around 100 BC, but it was incredibly rare to come across and obviously very difficult to produce. It wasn't until about 1,000 years later in the 11th century AD that we had our first paper mills. But everything was still being written by hand, so having a book copied for you would take months or years, not to mention the cost. Books and literacy were so rare that having a vellum codex with your favorite book in it, maybe it's the Bible, could cost you as much as a small house. Then in 1440, the Gutenberg press changed everything. This invention of movable type printing allowed books to be printed thousands of pages a day. 60 years after its invention, 20 million books had been printed across Europe, and while it was invented for the sake of printing the Bible so that everybody could read the Bible, all books were being printed. Still, until about 15 to 20 years ago, you had to go to a library and find the book that you were looking for. But today, you can read the Epic of Gilgamesh, the first narrative ever written. You can read Aristotle's lecture notes. You can read the diary of a Roman emperor. You can read Homer and Virgil and Beowulf and the Arthurian legends and all of the greatest poems of all time. You literally hold in your hand the thing that can do all of that and satisfy every curiosity that you've ever had about the world. But you're using it to doom scroll on TikTok. If technology bothers you and makes you sad, it's probably your fault.